Okay, so the assignment was update the student table to contain columns for all the different data types above. So we need to see int, tiny int, big int, varchar, text, date time, boolean, or bool, or whatever. So Dr. A, can I stop sharing and see what you have? Starting from you. Please, if you know that you cannot share your screen, just begin to snap what you have done and put on any platform. You could be on WhatsApp, you can share it on the chat. But let me see something from you, okay? If you cannot share your screen, but if you can share your screen, that's still fine. Okay, Dr. A, let's see what you have. Can you just begin to explain each line of code that you have written?
All right. So here we have to add information from the columns but to the under the student table, right? So here I select out to use the student table, and to alter, for us to be able to add the information, means we are altering the student table. So instead of writing each line of code, I realized that you can add everything instead of alter student table, add this and then alter again. So I decided to add all the parts, all the columns at once. So after altering I alter the table for student, and then I add national ID card, which is a big integer, the national ID number, then introduction text, which like the bow, which is a long text, and then add date of birth, which is a date, and then add register at, that's the date time when they registered, and then is it an active student or not? That is Boolean. And then to see, I run each line of code, and then to see if it has been updated to the table, I select which is everything from student, and then this is what I have, the results.
Perfect. 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 That's great. That's great. Next, let's have Dr. Tony.
Okay, I will share from my laptop.
If you have sent yours to WhatsApp or you are putting on the chat, let me know, please. Batman, you've been missing. Are you okay?
Yeah, good evening.
I thought of calling you.
Yeah, one or two engagements anyway, but I'm tracking the class.
Yeah, but you're fine, right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Oh.
Yes, we're waiting for Dr. Tony. Okay, yeah, I see your screen is coming up.
Is my screen coming up?
Yes, we can see your screen now. Okay. Explain your code.
Okay. So, I mean, I did my own one after the other, but I'm happy that I learned something now from so yeah, I altered the table. The name of my table is students. Then I add date, this column, and it's date, right? So you know the normal date, day, month, and year, right? Then I did for there's a column I have here. I added it enrollment date time. So it will give the date and also give the time, you know. Minute, yeah, so also give the time. So I added is active, which is a Boolean value, either true or false.
Okay.
And I added another. Of course, as you can see, first of all, I alter the table, then I add the column. So I added another column called student name is a test, you know. I now run select all from students, and I have all of them.
Perfect. Perfect. Let's have Madam Vandalin. Perfect, Dr. Tony, that's good. You can stop sharing. Let's have the next person. Madam Vandalin, is that you? I think so.
I can hear you now, Prof. You are sounding inside. I don't know if it's from my end.
I think maybe it's network or something. I don't know. But I think we have to look at what Madam Vandalin has done. Madam Vandaline, are you there? If you're not there, please like, am I audible?
You
Is
come in
Madam
now,
Vandaline there?
this money.
I think
Yes,
she's
I'm there.
Please, can we see what you've done?
Let me share what I've done. I did something completely different. I don't know. I'm not sure what I
It's
did.
fine. Let's see what let's see what you did. Madam Constance, please prepare your screen. After Madam Vandaline, you'll be sharing. And that best man, I don't know if you followed to the point where you got the assignment, you would also have to share. Let's see what you've done. Okay. Where's your code, ma'am?
I don't know where to get it again. Are you seeing my
Can
screen?
you please go up top right on your screen and hit the last small square so that I don't want to see that automatic context listing. Yeah, I know. Up right on your screen, top right, there are 3 squares there in highlighted blue. Can you click on the last one to the right? Yes, thank you. Click on the last one to the right, please. Yes, thank you. Can you click on the one in the middle? I don't want this one down here. Thank you. That's perfect. Okay, now can you scroll down? Let's see where and show us where you did the assignment. I see you have. Just scroll and show
I
us.
just
I see
created
yours has
something.
data.
I don't know. I just created something. I was not able to.
I see
I
what
don't
you
know how
rather
to.
did was. I see what you rather did was add data to the to the table, but and I see you have
Where do I get?
DOE. I don't know where you show us. Go scroll up. Let's see. Scroll up. Let's see where you started from. Yeah, scroll up. Let's see where you started from. Okay. So you're can you now scroll down gradually so that I can follow the code and come down and see where you are? Yeah,
I don't have the codes for this table. This
so
table
how did you
is trainers, but I don't know how I can get back to the codes that I use.
let me see the last
to
piece of
come
code that you ran down. Let me see what you have. Select all from trainers. So how did you add this data? You did added data, right? And I see you have class, date, birth date, past, Boolean. You did all of that. So how did you do that? I see you have an age there. You have gender. You have class. Class is a text, okay. And you have birth date. It's a date. And then you have pass. Possibly asking if the person passed true or false is Boolean. Can you please scroll up? Let me see the table you are using because I don't find that on this trainers table. Can you please scroll up a bit? No, this way. Let me see the table you're using. Okay. Create student table. Okay, there you are. You're on the student table. Okay, age integer. Okay, let me see where you added this text. Where did you add these numbers? Where did you add this data?
I don't know.
How did you get it? Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
I just created a new table, but I don't know where the codes are.
I'm not seeing the new table, and I can't see the listing you wrote. That's all. Which you can always save, right? Go up to file. I'm showing you how to save so that you can trace it back later on and then show me. Go to file. Click there, please. You can always come down to save script as. Come down. Click, select save script as. Yeah, you can always save the whatever you've done in your computer directly so you can access it. So if you don't know if you wrote something, you cannot trace it back. You can always do that. But then that's fine. You can stop sharing and then when you trace it back, we're gonna come back. You have to show me where you added all these data, okay? You have to look for it and explain possibly how you did all of that. Close it. can you just hit the X button on your screen and close it? Thank you. Madam Constance, I think it's your turn. And then after that, we can have Bestman and I think Milton. Milton was on the call too. Madam Constance, can you please share your screen? Is Madam
Yes,
Constance
Prof,
on the
I'm
call?
sharing. Yes, Prof,
Okay.
I'm sharing.
Please quickly share your screen.
Hello, Prof.
Okay, I can see your screen. Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah.
So can you please
So-
quickly explain to us what you did?
So I assumed that my students table was big students like us. So I added, I altered the table student and I added their telephone numbers as big int. Then I added their
Okay.
educational backgrounds as text because we come from different educational backgrounds. Then I
Okay.
added their date of birth as date, their inscription, when the date and time that they inscribe into, for example, Solavistec as date time. And then I used Cameroonian, the country, as a Boolean, as true or false, yes or no, if you're a Cameroonian.
And then you selected from the students table. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. Awesome. Stop sharing. Who do you have next? Bestman, do you have something for us?
No, I didn't implement this.
Okay. No, and then the next person should be, is it Milton? Do we have Milton on the call? Milton, I see you were there. Yes.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Sir, I'll not
Good
able to
evening.
present. Maybe I'll just explain like what I did now because currently there's no
Please, you
electricity, so
send
I
us a
can't do.
screenshot. Send us a screenshot, please. We'll
So
need
the
to see
issue is
the
that there's no
code.
electricity. Maybe I could send after the class, or I don't know. Or I could just explain what I did.
You are in which batch? That's the champions batch, right? You are in the champions batch, is that correct? I can't hear you, Milton. I think I lost you for some
Okay,
minute.
okay. Then maybe I could just send after now when the electricity is back because the whole day.
Yes, please send it to the group and explain whatever you've written, whatever you did in the form of text, or you can send a voice note or whatever, whichever is convenient for you, but we want to see, okay? And then I will also share that with the other batch, which is, since it's a merged session, the people from the Glorious batch would also like to see what you did. So it will be great to look at it. So it's okay. Send that screenshot once you have power that you can do that. Please, we would like to see what you've done, okay? Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Thanks, you guys. Thanks. That was good. That means we're making progress. Okay, so today I just thought of looking at I went back to look at the curriculum was spelled out for this session, right? And I see we need to do some work around following. We've talked about primary keys. Let me just explain the concept of foreign keys, and then there's another one that's called foreign key. Let me just explain the concept of a foreign key. We talked about the primary key, and then let's talk about the foreign key. And after we talk about foreign keys, we're going to see how to create those. And then after that, now we're going to look at maybe the unique command. And then because we're going to now use that to be able to tie our keys, right? And maybe we'll look at the not null, which should mean that your primary key cannot be empty, and all of those. We're going to see how to implement it. So let's, I think the best way will be for me to use a Google search, maybe. That will give me some images that can help me explain foreign keys and primary keys. So let me do foreign keys and primary keys, because I would want to do that, foreign keys and primary keys, and I would possibly want to look at an image. Yes, that will help me explain this. Oh, you see more. Let's look at this image, for example. Okay, let's look at it. Okay. Okay, now this is good. I think this can help explain. Now, let me think of a hypothetical example that can really explain foreign keys and primary keys. Then I'll relate that back to here. Okay, let's look at this way. Okay. Okay. Not the best way. Think of a nice way to put it. Maybe let's just explain from here. Now, when you look at what we have on the screen, what you're seeing is this is a table, right? And on this table, you have the student ID, the first name of the student, the last name of the student, and the course ID. Now, down here, you have another table that shows the course ID and the course name. Now, let's look at the concept of primary and foreign keys, right? Now, we said initially, let's start from the primary key and we just remind ourselves of what we said. We said if you have a table with multiple columns, the primary key column is the column whereby if you subset that column, you are going to have all the information about that record show up. You remember the scenario where we showed something like this? And here we had, let's even look at this one. So what we are looking at here is, if you look at this table, you have the student ID, you have the first name, the last name, and then the course. Now, what if in this column, this can be a primary key, let me call it PK, this can be a primary key. What does it mean by this being a primary key is that if I come and say, I'm looking for the record where the key is this, and I pass this key, the student key. Okay, now, because I only gave the student key, I will be able to see the student's name, the first name, the last name, and the courses in that the student have enrolled for. But I did not ask for the course. I just pulled up the ID. It's like taking your ID card number, like I always explain. If I go into the government database and I pull up your ID card number, it's going to give me all information about you. But I didn't ask for your name, but I just pulled up your ID card number. Because, for example, in Nigeria, there can be 2 Tonys there. It's acceptable. But your ID card number, there cannot be 2 persons with that same identification number. That is wrong. So your ID card number is an example for primary key. And why this is important is because when you're creating a database, because you can be working for an organization and you have to create a database for, because you can start it from scratch, of course, and that's what we are looking at. You can go in and then they say, this is our school. We are starting our school. We want to create a database where we can be storing our students' information on it. So you have to ask yourself, how do we identify these students? What is going to be the primary key that whenever every student that has been registered comes in, once you pull that key for that student, you're going to have all the information for that student. That is going to be your primary key. Right, and that most like if you're in the university is possibly your matriculate number. That is your unique number in the whole university, right? That's what is there. So you have to do that, and then you have to go now and use your MySQL like what we have, and then you go in and say create database, blah 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 blah, create table, and on that table you can now create different tables, and that's where I'm coming to. So the first table, you can have your first table, and is this table. This is table 1, for example. Now, if you notice, on this table, you have the course ID. Please pay close attention to what I'm saying. You have the course ID. You don't have the course name. You do not have the course name, meaning that there can be more information about this course, but you don't need to have that information on this table. There can be more information about this course, the course name, maybe the course name, maybe the number of modules per course, like how many topics you are going to treat per course. So there can be details about the courses, but on this table, you do not need all those details on. So you now have a separate table for courses. you have a separate table that you can call that table courses. And on that table, each course is going to have an ID, and that ID is, that course is going to have a name, is going to have the different modules for that course, is going to have maybe the date that the university or the institution started that course, is going to have a lot of information about that course, right? So there can be multiple columns about the course, multiple columns, you can have multiple columns, right? But the thing is that you only have that information on this table, on the course table. Now, when you come to another table here, let's call this the student table, for example. This is the student table. On the student table, you would like to know the courses that the student has enrolled for. And therefore, you would want to have something on this student table that if you have to have some information about courses on this table, that if you pull that information up, you can see all the details about that course. Now, how does the concept of primary and secondary keys come in? Or what you can call foreign keys. Now, on the course table, this course table that we have here, course, the course ID is a primary key. Why do I say it's a primary key? Meaning that if I pull up this ID, I can have all the information about the course. The modules, the date the course was started, any other information about the course, I can have it when I pull up the course ID. So on the table for course, the course ID is the primary key. But then look at where the concept of foreign now comes in. When you come to the student table, you want to know the course that the student has enrolled for. What you put on that table is the course ID. On this table, this course ID is not a primary key because the primary key on this table is the student ID. Why is it so now? So here, this becomes a foreign key. On the student table, the course ID becomes a foreign key. And on the course table, it's a primary key. Now, how do you filter this out? And this is going to play in a lot when we come into data modeling, right? When we go to Power BI, you're going to see how we are going to have a fact table, and then we have dimensional tables, different tables for different dimensions, right? And you're going to see that in the different dimensions, we can filter from the fact table into the different dimensions using the concept of primary and foreign keys. This is very important. So now let me clear this drawing so that we don't, should not confuse you. Okay, now, give me a minute, please. Okay, let's continue. So now let's get our thoughts together. So now again, this is a key, but on this table it is a foreign key. On the table it's a primary key, right? Let's assume that we want to, on this course table too, we want to if you want to bring the student information, for example, if you came on this course table and maybe you want to have the student have a separate table, and then you come on this course, you want to have the students that have enrolled for this course. Normally, when you come on this course table, you are not going to come and put the student's name there. No, you just come and put the student ID, such that, and on this course table, now the student ID is going to be a key. If I add a student ID here, for example, student ID, and on the student ID column here, what I want to, I have the different IDs for the students, right? Here, this is going to also be a foreign key. It's going to be a foreign key, but then on the students table is going to be a primary key. Okay, this was, let me pull another one with many more dimensions. Let me just come back, okay? Let me see if I can have a table with many more dimensions. Oh, and this is really a good data model, right? You can see data models here. Now let's see this one. Let me see this model. Maybe if I have another one, I think this one is showing some more. Okay, let's look at this one. Let's see if we can draw some. Let's see if we can draw some. Let's see if we can draw some information from here. Now, look at something here. You have student ID, class ID, enrollment ID, all of these. Now, on this other table, I want you to look at what we're showing, okay? On this table, you have the class ID, but you do not have the student ID. On this other table, you have the student ID, but you don't have the class ID here, right? So how does this work? So you have a common table. So what you can do, and this is what we call, let me fast forward a bit, but we actually want to look at it in detail. If you look at what you have here, in real life, this is called a fact table. A fact table. And this one will be a dimension. This will be the different dimensions. I mean, these are Power BI items, right? Or data modeling terms. This is dimensions. And this can be what we can call here is dimension class, for example, dimension class, and this will be dimension student, dimension student. These are dimension tables, dimension student, students. And then on the fact table, now you have the specific keys for each of these dimensions. So assumably, for example, if you had multiple dimensions, for example, let's say you have dimension geography, for example, like dimension geography, for example, let's say it's talking about where places are located. So you are going to have another table here. And then here now you're going to have something like the geography ID, geo ID, Joe ID. And so you come here, you add your Joe ID here, Joe ID to the fact table. Okay, how does this work now? If I want to get information, so this, and look at these small things that are here. These are called connectors. They show links. You see, these are links. Now let me clear. I want to remove these links. What do you have here? If you want information about the class, you can directly pull up the class ID. And because this class ID is connected to this fact table and this fact table is connected to this table, you can also filter the different students in a particular class by just calling up the class ID. Again, I don't know how to put this, but it just helps you in be able to create connections. Maybe I create another example, which is more physical. Unfortunately, I'm not using my, let me join from, please, I want to create my own table that will give me the flexibility to explain this, because this is very important, and it's, this is the foundation of relations, right? Let me join this class from here. Give me a minute. Let me join from here. From here. Where's my style? Here. Let me stop sharing from here. I'm going to share from that whiteboard.
slow. It was fine. Just trying to reconnect now. It's just going in and out and out. So I said this. Surely it was fine, man. For some reason, I don't know if this will if you can hear me. The whiteboard is showing, but it's not sharing. Sharing. Whiteboard. The whiteboard. The whiteboard. What's happening? I want to write from here. I want to write from here. Just really possible.
Sorry, I'm
Sorry, I'm
having
having
issues
issues
with
with
my
connection. I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
Sharing this, but it's not showing. Are you done with the orange? Yes, please. Thank you. If not, yes, we can tell us. I'm gonna connect you to. Let me stop sharing. Share.
This thing, what happened to this thing? For some reason, this thing keeps failing. I don't know why. Maybe if the meeting. Can you hear me, please? Let me get some confirmation to know if you can hear me.
Yes, Prof. I can
Yes,
get you.
bro. Brian.
Okay, perfect. Sorry for that. For some reason, I was trying to connect to my whiteboard where I can have the flexibility to write, but they say man makes technology, technology fails man. So I don't know why it was not connecting, but I just had to exit myself and join back. So let's look at the concept of foreign keys again. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to have a table here, right? I want you to pay close attention. I'm going to have another table here. I'm going to have another table here. I'm going to have another table here. I just want to form something like a star schema. I'm going to have another table here. And I'm going to have, let me shift to the right, and then I have another table here, okay? So now, the concept of primary key. On this key, we can have what we call our student ID. Student ID. And so on this key, you can have, on this table, you can have more things, right? Like the student's first name, and then last name, and many, the age, and many more. On this table, on this other table here, we can have something like, say, okay, we can have like the course. So here we can have something like the course ID, and then we can have something like the course name, and many other things. And then we can have something here like the trainer ID, maybe the teacher, right? So we have the trainer ID, the trainer ID, then the trainer's name. This is another table. And then here we can have, let's say on this other table, we can have things like, what can we look about? Course, trainer, blah. Let's look at maybe geolocation. So here we can have something like the geo ID, and then maybe the country name or something. Let's just say country name or whatever you want to have as a geographical location or something. Now, what is the concept now? On this is a primary key. So if it's a primary key, I'm going to put 1. This is a primary key, this is a primary key, this is a primary key, and this is a primary key. Now, on this table in the middle, what I'm going to have here is I'm going to have student ID. I'm going to have course ID. This is very important because this is purely practical, okay? This is what you do when you're modeling data. You have course ID. You're going to have the trainer ID. And then here you have the geo ID. So here you have the geo ID. And maybe you can have a few other things here, you know. But now what's the idea? This table will be linked to this other table through the geo ID. Are you seeing? This table will be linked to this table through the student ID. This table will be linked to this table through the student ID, the course ID, and this table will be linked to this table through the trainer ID. These are what we call connections. And that's how you look at the data model. This is how it looks like. You look at the data model, you see those connections there. And it can be one-to-one or one-to-many. We cannot know, I don't want to go into all those details, but let me use this now to explain that in this table, which is a student, this is the course table. This one is for course.
This one is for students. And then this one is for trainer, maybe the teachers that are teaching. And then here we have for location, for example, location. Okay, now on this course table, the only information we are going to have here is about the course. So we can have the course name, the date, when the course was instituted, maybe the different departments where you have the course there, departments. So what is going to happen is that on this course table, the course ID is going to be a unique key, meaning that anytime I come here and I pull any course ID, I can have all the information about that course. The name here can be geography, for example. So if I pull up the course ID, I'm going to have anything about this course. So the geography, the date geography was instituted, the departments that are being taught geography. If I come to the student column, this is where your own name is going to come in and your matricle number. And now, when you have the student ID, now you have the maybe the student's name, you can have your names and everything here. So if I come to the student column, if I pull up your ID, if I pull up your student ID, I can have your name, your full information, your address and everything. If I come to the trainer ID, the same thing applies. Whichever teacher is teaching, and so I can come here and I see the course that the teacher is teaching, right? Now, this is what I want to show you. This table is linked to this table. This table is linked to this one. All these tables are linked by this table that is called a fact table. This one in the middle is a fact table. Now, what is the importance of having a fact table now? If I come now and filter students ID, because students ID is linked to this fact table, I can be able to also know the courses that student ID is linked to, because that same fact table is linked to this. That same fact table is linked to the course table. And on this fact table, all these IDs are foreign keys. They are not primary keys, foreign keys. And on the individual dimension tables, these are primary keys. So you mostly have your primary keys at the level of what? Your dimensional tables, which are these individual tables that hold a specific information about different things. And then you can also have a facts table. And so this is how you can structure your data. And bear you this in mind. When you're creating a database, this is very practical because it applies. You have to have this in mind. The reason why you have to have this in mind is because you have to structure this database in a way that it will grow and you can create connections. You can be able to build up that table and make that database to expand and take in, and that database to expand and take more information. If you don't structure it well, the idea is going to be that at the end of the day, it will be impossible for you to come in and filter data. And that's the reason why you see they call these things SQL. It's not by chance. This stands for, like Dr. Tony told me, it was a structured query, meaning that when you come in to look for data in a relational database, there should be those relationships established, meaning that when you query something, meaning that when you ask for something, you should be able to get all information related to that thing. If I come down and I filter a particular student ID, right, I should be able to get all the other information about that student. I don't know, maybe let me stop sharing from here. I hope, before I stop, I'll just project my screen. I think I have a data model, a real life data model somewhere, and I'm going to show you. I pray it is there. But before we go, is there any question? Because I'm going to now stop sharing from this, from this whiteboard, and then I turn back to my computer, and then I pull up a data model that actually shows you this same thing that I've explained here, the concept of a foreign key, the concept of a primary key, and the concept of those relations being linked to different tables. And you can see it in real life because you're now going to apply those in real life. Is there any question? Okay. Silence means no question. Let me I'm going to exit from here again because this was just to give me the flexibility to explain. So I'm going to
to this one. Okay, I'm back on this
Sorry,
other
Prof.
screen.
I got kicked out. My network disappeared.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm just reconnecting. I'll show you just watch a replay for that part.
Oh, so
I missed the entire
sorry about that.
explanation.
So sorry about that. So now what I want to show you is show you a real life data model. I think it should be on my desktop somewhere. Let me just pull it up. You know, this computer I'm using is my personal computer, so there's not a lot of work stuff here. Okay. We don't have a lot of work stuff here. There is this thing I created called model. Let's look for it from one of my data model. Okay, this should be it. I'm pulling up a data model I built for Power BI for a project that we're working on. I think I did a test model here, and then I now went and deployed it. I don't know. Hope it loads up and just gives us an idea of. Let me just explain the concept of, because if you don't understand this, I mean, there's no need teaching you relational databases. What's the need if you cannot understand how to create relationships? Maybe the connections are going to fail because this was just for the test, but I'm just hoping that here, for some reasons, thank God they are showing up. Okay. So let me send this away. Okay, you see what I was talking about, right? Do I have? So you see, I have a geography table here. I'm going to pull this aside, okay? I'm just going to pull this aside. I'm going to extend this aside. I think this was just a concept I was trying to build for a data table. So now when you look at here, what is unique on this geography table is the health facility. And that help, because if I hit on this link, you see, so here, health facility is a primary key here. But on this table, it's A. This is my whole data. So this is all my data. So when I imported my data, I now have to come into this data and I created the different dimensions. We are going to see how we do all of this in real life, okay? We're going to do this when we go to Power BI. I'm going to show you how all of this. So now you see, this is where I have all my data, because if you look at through this fact table, I have all my data here. But then I now create different dimensions. So this is a primary key here, but here I still have that same key here, but then it's a foreign key. Okay, now let me show you on this table. I have how does this link to this? Is that I have a date column here, and this is, you see dimension date. I have a date column here, and on this date column, it's supposed to be unique, and that date column now links to a date time column here. And why this is unique, because you might now be asking me, is it not possible that two people can have the same linkage on the same time? The reason why this is unique is because this date column is actually date time, and it's actually has been streamlined to date time, hour, second, and minute. So it's looking at the work we were doing, it's practically impossible for two records to have occurred at the same time. They might have the same date, the same hour, the same, maybe, or to an extent, the same minute, but to have the same second would have really been a big issue. So that's why you actually see this, because now this is actually on this is going to be, and you can look on my date dimension, right? If you look on my date dimension, you can see now that I have the day, I have the month, I have the month number, I have the quarter, I have the week number, and the year. A lot of information, but what is unique about it is the date. And on here, you have something like the health facility, you have something like the facility itself, which is the ID. You have the district where the facility is located, the region where the facility is located, more information about that facility, right? Linked to it. On this other dimension down here, you had, this was the action dimension, and this actually applied to the different things that happen. There's more information about it. So this was just a test concept. And so what you have to take away from here is that on this table where I have all my data, I had my foreign keys, and then I created my different dimensions with the specific primary keys on the dimension tables that I can filter my data to in and out. Do you have any questions? This is more bigger than this, because I expanded this model, it grew bigger and had many more connections, but I don't have that on this computer. It's actually on my work computer, not this one. So I was just testing this thing out here, but I'm happy it's there to show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to save it. I didn't think there was a version 2 after I expanded this, but that was just to explain the concept of primary and foreign keys. Is there any question as far as that concept is concerned?
Not from my.
Okay, okay, perfect. Since we have done that, let me pull on my second screen. I always need my second screen to guide me on what I'm talking about. So let me pull on my second screen again, and then let's go and see how we can now do this in real life. You can set all of these things that I've talked about in your database using SQL. So I'm going to pull on my second screen from here. All right. Okay, perfect. So let me pull up. So let's go back to our SQL. So now that we've known what all these things are, what they are, now let's go back to SQL and see how we can institute this. I know we had already looked at the concept of it being a primary key. I know I showed you this for some reason. If we come up here, I know we created something and we said it was primary. Go back to your code. You see, okay, you see the trainer table, we had something like a primary key, the trainer ID, right? The trainer ID was a primary key. We showed you how to create a primary key. So let's, so I'm going to come down here. The trainer ID was in which database? It was in the university database. Okay. So let me see, use. So please work with me, okay? Because we are going now into the practical session and we're going to go fast. Use university. So I'm in university. So now in university, I have to now look at maybe say show tables. Show tables. Is it show table or show tables? Yeah. And if I run this, oh, it's not like this. I hope I use Control Enter here. Okay. And I have to do Control Enter here. So in the university, we had a table called trainers, right? And so if I hit Enter and then I'm going to say select. I hope you are all typing with me. Select star from, what was the name? Trainers. Go enter. And so we had the trainer ID, the course ID, and the age of the course and the age. So on these, we had already specified from above that the trainer ID was going to be a primary key. Where is that? Yeah, here. We already specified that the trainer. See that? So now, the next thing so that's how we said when you create it, we gave it the integer name, we say it's an integer, and then we said this was going to be a primary key. The next thing, the properties of a primary key. Let's look at the properties of a primary key. Now, a primary key, a column that is primary key cannot be empty. That's true, right? A column that is a primary key, and I would like you to take note on this, right? So I can say a primary key cannot be empty. Primary key column cannot take, should not, because it's not like you can actually be stupid and leave it to have empty values, but it should not have no values. It should not. So on your primary key, you cannot have empty cells there, right? And so how do you do that? How do you set that in such a way that your primary key should not. What you have to do is that, so let's see, during the creation of, so let's alter and then, let me see. Let me see if, I was just thinking to match it up. Let me see if I can match all of that up. Okay. So maybe we can alter it. Yes, I'm just looking at the different options to approach it. So maybe also we have to alter our primary key. So what we're going to do is that we're going to see. So we have to alter the trainers table. So alter. Let me use my uppercase. Please go with me, okay? Alter table. And that should be the trainers. We are altering the trainers table. And we can use the command to modify. So we can modify. We looked at modify before, right? What was that? Trainer ID. Let's look at how it looks like. Trainer ID. Yes, trainer ID. So we want to modify trainer ID. Trainer ID. And then it was int. And now we want to modify these to have non-null. So you can say non-null. How do you put it? Not null, not null, not null, right? And so when you do that, you pass your command, and then you can now execute this. You see, now, if after executing this, I'll come down and then I run this again. I'll see whether something has changed on. So now, if you notice now, on this column now, what is going to happen is that if you create your data, if you put data on this column and you leave this column empty for that record, the trainer ID column empty, and once you pass that command for that database to save it, it's not going to accept it. We are going to see all of this. So let's first of all look at the commands so that when we go down and we are adding the data, we'll just be adding all the different data sets. So for now, let's just focus on the commands. So you use the not null. The not null is to ensure that you do not accept, your database does not accept, it does not accept, that particular column does not accept missing values. And if you have ever for some reason created even these common Google Form surveys, or even created a survey in something, you notice that there's something called, or you filled a survey online, there's something called required. Who has seen this in the past? And it always has a red star like this. It has a star on it like this, right? Who has ever experienced that? Let's get some feedback. Who has experienced the concept of having that small star on your
I have.
this thing saying Yeah,
I've
Yeah.
seen it.
required.
Perfect.
Exactly. That thing that you see that says required is what you mean by not null. That means that column or that column for that data set cannot be empty. You must fill it. You understand? That's what that's exactly what you mean by not null. So that's what you say. It should not be null. It cannot be null, right? So we've said this primary key column, trainer ID, not null, like it cannot be a null value. So now let's look at another characteristic. Please, if I miss out something, you can always notify me, because as I'm going like this, we might just skip over some important things that we're supposed to be. Another thing about, like we've already said, is that it has to be. Doctor, you have a question? Okay, one of the things we have said is that a primary key has to be unique, right? Primary key. The primary key has to be unique. What does it mean by it to be unique? That means if I have a column and I have my primary key on that column, that column should not have two values that are the same on that same column. That means what we are saying is that column should not be able to accept duplicates. Is that true? So a primary key has to be unique. So you cannot have a primary key having the same value. That means when you go and filter, what is going to happen? Because our idea of a primary key was that if I look for that particular key in the database, I have all the information. So if there are two of them now, so you see, it defeats the purpose. So we say a primary key has to be unique, and you can alter that, right? And so I can just go back again, and then I say, and we just go back and we just alter trainer, alter table, sorry. I hope you are typing with me, because I know all of you are connected to your computers. Alter trainer and trainer, sorry. And then what we are modifying is the primary key, modify trainer ID, trainer ID, trainer ID, and it's int. We keep it like that, and we can say unique. It should be unique. That means don't accept duplicate. Is that clear? So are you seeing how you can implement all of these? Guys, at the end of the day, we are going to build a database for Solaris. If you are not responding, I will do a bad job when they are firing all of us. Sorry, somebody saying something, and because network is not the best, I cannot hear you.
No, I think I can hear you. I can see, and I'm following.
Okay. Okay, perfect. We are going to build a database for Solaris at the end of this. If we do a bad job, they'll fire all of us. So can we continue? So do you have the properties? You're seeing how you work around all of these. So your primary key cannot be duplicate, can accept duplicates, and it doesn't make sense to say that your primary key column has an empty value. So we've seen how to tie that. And Dr. Tony, this should be relating to the question you asked me. I told you it was an important question, and we were going to look at all of these from the next step. And again, if you, for some reason, you create a table and there is a particular variable on that table that is going to be a foreign key.
Right.
Yes.
No, I don't know if it's, I think my network will drop by this now, but I'm just hearing you. But I'm hearing you now. So.
I want to say that if you have a table, and on that table now, because we want to see how to create a foreign key, you want to add a foreign key to your table, and that foreign key, because like I said, it's not like that foreign key. That foreign key is a primary key somewhere, right? So you know what we're gonna do is that I'm gonna come back here and I'm going to just take this information on the student database, and I know we created that. So what I'm going to do is that why did we create that information? I don't just want to create. Okay. So I'm going to take this information here. I'll use this within the I'll use this within the um I'll use this within the thing this thing. I'm just going to paste this here. Create student table student, and then let me call this not ID, let me call this student ID, and I'm going to say this is int, and I'm going to say this is a primary key. Let me see if I can do all of this in one line. Primary. Oh, what again? Primary key. Let me see if I can do all of this in one line. I've never done before. And unique. Oh, yes. So this table is going to be unique. Let me see if it's going to be valid. Okay, and I say not null. No, not. No. Is this acceptable? Oh, I don't know if this is acceptable. Let me check the syntax out. I've never done it like this before, so let me see if it's acceptable.
Excuse me, Prof. Can you hear me?
Let me see if that is acceptable. Yes, Dr. Tony, yes. Yes, Dr.
So
Tony, I can hear you.
yes. So I
Dr.
came
Tony, go
across
right on.
something, right? That when you make a
Yes.
yes, so I'm speaking. So I came across something, sir. You're hearing me, just to confirm. Are you still hearing me? Hello? Okay, my network.
Yes, I
Hello,
can hear
can you
you.
still hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
No, I came across something that when you make a column, a primary key,
Dr. Tony, I can hear you. I
it
don't know if you.
has no
Yes, I
need
can hear
to
you. Can
add
any other person hear me?
not
Maybe.
null.
Yes. Oh, that network. I don't know if it's my network or his, but I'm guessing what he's saying, and I was going to come to that. I was trying to get what he's saying because by convention, the definition of a primary key is that it should not have non-null, it shouldn't be unique. Are you understanding? And I was going to come to that. That's why I told you, let me check if this is possible, if you can actually have to specify all of these. That was what I was going to go with. I was going to come to that, but I hope that when he comes back, we can hear him. Dr. Tony, are you there? Dr. Tony? Oh, shit. And this was getting more interesting now. I lost him. Let me just know whether, can any other person hear me just to be sure that I'm not the one having a problem? Best man, can you hear me? Madam Constance, can you
Yeah,
hear
I
me?
can hear you.
Can anyone
I
hear me?
can hear you, Prof.
Oh, perfect, perfect. So it's obvious that Dr. Tony was saying something interesting, right? And I was about to come to that. I was just about to come to that when he mentioned the name. And I think he's back. Dr. Tony, you're back, right? I think you can hear me now. like them. Anyways, what he's saying is, by convention, normally, it's not like this is not foul play. If you say something, a column is a primary key, like I'm telling you, every database will not expect that column to have duplicates. It will not expect that column to have missing data. You understand what I'm saying? So by default, once you pass the command primary key, or you pass this command primary key, you do not need to tell that column that it has to be unique if you have not. So to solve all of these becomes irrelevant, because once you say this column is a primary key, automatically this means this is unique and cannot accept empty values. I think that's the thing Dr. Tony was trying to say, and then his network came out, which I wanted to illustrate that. I hope he comes back and we have that conversation further. But while we're waiting for Dr. Tony, let's just proceed with the student database, because I wanted to make this a foreign key in the other one. And so, or maybe I'm going to look at another table, make this one a foreign key in that table. And okay, maybe for some reason, right? But this is not going to be. Okay, we're going to create a course ID. So let's just make this thing. Let's just stick it to our work that we're going to keep this like this. So I'm going to just come down here and close it. But we can build up from there. I'm going to pass a semicolon here. I think that works, right? Let me see if I'm leaving out anything. Instead of closing it, I was opening it. Closing and passing a semicolon here. So I created this. Again, remember, I'm creating the student table within my university database. So don't think it's in the student database. You know, we have two databases. I have the student database and I have a university database. So within my university database, I'm creating another table called the student table. Okay. So don't feel like we're not on the same line. You already have this, so you can just copy from above and put it down. Now, what I want to do is that I want to create another table. And you can all create with me. And you can all create with me. So let me just put and say creating a cost table, that's what we're doing. And if I create a cost table, so are you creating with me? Create table, and we're gonna call it cost. And we're gonna open our brackets, and then we're gonna hit enter. So what is gonna be the course ID? Okay, I'm liking this now. The course ID, and sorry, course ID. Course ID, this is going to be int. Let's just keep it as int. And let's say it's going to be a primary key, of course. Primary key. We are already implementing what we've talked about. And then I'm gonna have why is this still saying it's int primary key? Let's say course name. This one is going to be variable character, varchar, and this one should have a maximum of 250 words where maybe, let's say we are going to, still on this course table, right? We are going to have, let's leave it like that. And then maybe now we see the students that are enrolled for Sorry, I lost my connection. I was just coming back to create. Where was I? I was looking at talking about the course ID. Mm. Where was I? Let me align myself with what I was working on, please. Give me a minute. Okay. I was working on the concept. So this is where we are. So now what I wanted to show is here is that I wanted to in this table, right? I want to create a foreign ID. And on this foreign ID is going to be my student ID. Reason why I'm putting my student ID here just to illustrate is that on my course table, I might want to see, on my course table, maybe I want to see the students that are enrolled for that course. It could also be the other way around, right? It could be like on the student's ID, which was even what was more appropriate. If it's that in the student, in the student ID table, what would have been more appropriate was that we now reference the course ID as a foreign key in the student table, right? Could also think of it like seeing the students that are enrolled for a course. Either way, it's the same. But I think I should go for the other one so that I can actually go back and alter the student table. That will make more sense for me. I mean, for my own reasoning. So I think I can close this here. And so if I have to close this here, I'll have to cancel this. I hit enter, and then I'm going to close it here. So I'm going to close it for the sake of peace, and then I just create it directly. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put a comment here, and I'm going to say adding the course ID as a foreign ID, as a foreign key, sorry, not foreign ID, to the student table, right? That's what we want. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to go directly and alter we're going to alter table students, alter table student. Does it have an S? That's student. No, it has no S. So we're going to alter the table student. And in this alter, we're going to add, right? We're going to add let me see the way I'm going to do it. Let me go with this syntax, okay? I'm just going to call it foreign key. Foreign key, and so the foreign key is going to be my course ID, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm going to put this. The next, I'm just wondering what I should add that command, but it's good to put it. So there's a command that we are going to call references. And the reason why I'm using references is because if there is data on that column, you might want that data to just populate this one directly. But since we do not have data, it's fine. When we populate it, it can just directly populate. So we're gonna still have course ID here as well. Course ID. B, right? And just put our semicolon. I think this should work. 12. Let me see. It's not valid at the position. Why is it not valid? Expecting the name of an existing table who references. So I'm gonna have my what's the student? Was it course? Course. And then so the reason why I put this, the references is that if there is data in this, it should just populate this directly. You don't have to recreate the data. What I'm saying is that if in your course ID, you already have the IDs for the different courses, or here, since it's a foreign key here, you don't need to add that data again. You should just automatically populate in this table directly. Dr. Tony, let me know if your network is clear so we can just clear, I know we had that discussion, but now you were not connected, so you didn't follow.
Yeah, yes. I don't know
So
if
I'm
you
going
can
to
hear me.
control enter. Which one? Cause does not exist. It's not cause now, though. Cause D doesn't exist. Which one did I call cause D? Oh shit. This is cause ID, not cause D.
Prof, can you hear me now?
Yes. What am I
Okay,
still
okay.
getting? Cause ID doesn't exist in the table. Which one did I? Which one did I miss now? Cause ID. Cause. Oh, why is this saying key column course ID doesn't exist in the table? What do you mean by doesn't exist in the table? I created that already, or I gave it a different name. This is it now.
I don't know. Is it already validated one off?
I
Is it
think
already
I
run
did
the one
so.
off?
Maybe let me run it again, but I think if I run it again, I should get an error in that it already exists. Table course already exists, right? So, and if I refresh my model, I check whether it has a course ID then. Tables. So I come under tables, I have course, I have column names, you see course ID. Yeah, there. So why is it saying that it's not there? So I have add foreign key, course ID. I'm authoring this table and I'm adding, right? So what is wrong with it? References, this is fine. It's just important to have added this, and then this is course ID. Did I spell something wrongly? No. Again, I don't know. Let me run it again and see. Still get column course ID doesn't exist. Oh shit. Let me troubleshoot this and see why it is like that.
I also have the same error message.
Let me see this one like this. Let me see. I'm just looking at the possible challenges you can have with linking it. It's just good to just cross check. So let's see. So what do you say? What I'm thinking of we might want to create the course ID column directly. I was thinking we could just shoot it from here directly. So maybe we might want to create it directly and run it before we do that. So let's just try this and see. So we're gonna have course author. So I'm gonna add here course ID, and then course ID is supposed to be int, right? Int, and then here we don't have to make it with, it's not, there's no need giving it whether it's going to be a primary key or whatever thing it is. So we can just run it. And then I'm going to kill this. Then I'm going to run all that again. Come here. And then I'm going to come down and run this one now to see whether it works. Table university student doesn't exist. Oh, no, 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 no. Table university student doesn't exist. What do you mean by table university student doesn't exist? Authors table student. Let me first of all
If you
refresh
spelling of
this
your
and make
student,
sure.
Student has
SQ,
no sleep. Oh. That's it.
Oh, thank you. Okay, great. Done that. Thank you. I was wondering what happened. So now what we've done is that the reason why we're getting this error above here, which was saying course doesn't exist, is because normally for you to reference a foreign key, what we needed to do was create the column first in the student ID and then reference that column back to the customer ID. That's what we were doing. So, but I was just trying to create all of that in one line of code, and it was telling us that no, we cannot do that. We cannot create and reference at the same time. So we had to create and then reference. So this is where we are creating, right? I'm adding the course ID column. And then after adding the course ID column now, and I reference that ID column as a foreign key. Make sense?
yes. So you need to have the column in
Okay.
the two distance.
Yes. Yeah, and then you reference that. And that's what I was saying, so that if there's data, then you can directly populate it directly now without having to. So, Dr. Tony, like we were saying, right, you wanted to ask a question, I wish your network was not doing it, and then I was about to get to that. Now, what I was trying to explain to the others why your network was that when you use the word primary key, by definition, a primary key is supposed to be unique and it's not supposed to accept missing values.
Yes.
You understand? By definition, it's supposed to be unique and it's supposed to not accept missing values. So once you create a column and call it primary key, you don't need to say that column should be unique and that column should have no value, should not take no value. Should not. So you don't need to say unique and you don't need to specify not null.
Yeah.
But you can also decide to use unique and not null on other columns that you think are important. Like you see these, like that's what I was asking. If you've ever filled a survey, there are certain questions they might, because you see, they can put a survey and almost all the questions are required. Does it mean all those questions are primary keys? No, it's just that they have applied not null on those questions, meaning that you cannot leave those questions empty. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, are we all at this level so that we can go into, we can quickly, these were just concepts. So I just wanted to clear this concept so that we can quickly now jump into some commands and go faster. Are we all at this level? Best man,
Yes, let me
are you
copy
there?
the
No, I
code.
have a
Yeah,
error
with
code.
you, Prof. But I'm not following, I'm not typing, I'm just observing what is being done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Prof, let me copy the
Wherever
code,
there's
the
need
last
for
one.
input, please. You can add. Yes, Dr.
I
Tony,
have an
add.
error code.
Wherever there's need to. Who is that? Madame Vandolin, Madame. Okay, Madame Prudence. Do you want me to stop sharing so that you can share so that we see? Sure.
Yes, sir.
Let's see what you have. Let's do and jump into some commands so that we can. So that if we can go down and then I intend to end this in the next highest one class so that we should finish this SQL. And Madam Prudence, I'm just waiting for you to share your screen so that we can see the error message that you have and address it.
Okay, please, just a minute.
Okay. Meanwhile, Madam Prudence is trying to share her screen. Please, if you have any questions, if there's something you do not understand, it will be good that we talk about it before you go home and have a nightmare. I'm just looking through the commands that we've not looked at. Trust me, SQL is about commands. You need to know different commands that do different things. I'm looking at.
Prof, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr.
Hello,
Tony.
Prof.
Yes, Dr.
So,
Tony.
yes, this last code that we wrote, alter table students, add foreign key, all of that. So, we have this course ID in the course table and also in the students table, correct? So
in the
this
student,
code,
yes.
So this code now that you wrote, is it just to make the course ID a foreign key that you wrote this code, this last code that you wrote?
So,
is it just to make it a foreign key in the students table that you wrote this thing now that you wrote? Because you already have it in both tables already.
Yes. So the reason why we did that was to create that connection. You remember that small diagram that I was showing people with those connections is that if your data is on the student table, on the course table, right? The data about the course is on the course table. So what I was doing is that I'm now creating another column in the student table and adding the course ID there and not making it. And so what I do is that when I create that, I'm just referencing it back to the course table and not completely creating like a new column. So it's there as a column in the table, but the data that is going to populate it is going to be referenced from the course table. And it's just a connection, right? It's a connection so that if you want to filter out, you can pull out that directly. But the reason why, like I was explaining, is that if you have a student, you might want to see the courses that the student is offering, right? So it's like saying that you have a facts table and you have the different dimension table with their specific keys as foreign keys in the fact table. You remember that this thing that I drew? You remember that that I drew with that's one in the middle. The one in the middle having all the small ones from the other ones as foreign keys and then linking back. That was the same thing I did here. I'm trying to look for my stylo and I'm not seeing that thing here. What this? Oh, I'm not the one sharing. Maybe let's attend to Madam Constance then. Let me pull that up and then explain to you. Madam Constance, for some reason. Oh, it's Madam Prudence, sorry. You stop sharing?
I'm sharing now.
Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, it says you have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to. So what is the code that you were trying to run? You were trying to say that add foreign key course ID, references course ID, and then you alter the table. You were all running that on the same line. So you have to go back and run execution. You've executed line 105. Put your cursor in front of line 105. Run that. Run that one. That's it. The university table doesn't exist. Student table in university. So let me see where you created that. Can you just go to your tables and drop down from tables? Refresh your schema, please. Okay.
I've done so.
Why is your table not showing the possibility to drop down?
Since I
Ooh.
started working this evening, it was not going. I've gone out of my secure, came back, it's still not going.
Oh, that's what I was wondering because I'm not seeing anything there. Okay, just go up. Can you just scroll up a bit?
This is where we started today.
Okay. Use university show tables. Go to execution number 78 and run it. Let me see. Run that one. Control enter. Okay. University. So you have table in university. Okay, scroll down. So
Will I continue?
run the one on 79. Let me see. Okay. Table university has not. I expected that. Go up. You don't have that table called trainers. Go up. Let me see where you created that table. I was expecting that because I'm not seeing anything that way.
It's here. It's up here. This is the table here.
Okay. Okay. Run 12 again. Let me see. Okay. Run. Come to 17. Put your cursor in front of 17 and run it. It says you have an error in your
look at
syntax.
14. Please, she should look at 14. Trainer ID, there's no int before the primary key.
Yeah, you are supposed to make your trainer ID. You have to put the data type, int.
Thank you.
Yes. Now run 17. Run it again. Yes, now it has worked. Yeah, you have to go down and see. Let's see where you created the student table. Come down. Student, I think you've passed it for the in the university database. Yes, that is it. Create table. There was a column. There's a command we run. Create table students in the university database. Scroll down. I've not seen you own that column.
Yeah.
Keep coming up. Okay, create student. So yes, come down to execution number 90. Number 90. 90, please. 90. Yes, come down to 94. Come down to 94. Yes, run that one. Okay. Scroll down. Run. Wait, let me see this one. Course into primary key, course name var 250. Run 100. Scroll down.
An error.
No, oh, you had an error there. Let me see. Can you hide this? Hit that hide on that thing that says share. Hit hide.
Okay.
Because blocking something I can't see. Perfect. It says you have an error in your SQL syntax. You have a problem in your SQL syntax. You're supposed to not put a comma after course name, please.
Sure.
Yes. So come down and run 100. No, you've not run it. You've done something else. Control enter. Control enter. Yes, now it has run. Now come down and run 105. Perfect. Copy 104, hit enter, and you have a space. You paste 104. Hit enter after 105 so that you have some space. After 105. Yes, hit enter. Yes, paste what you've copied there. Yes, can you kill that space, please? Backspace. Yes, perfect. Now execute 107. It says failed to add the following constraint, missing column course ID for. Where is it missing? We already added the course ID in the student, so we do not have the course ID in the course. Do you have the course? Oh, you on one. Oh, damn God in heaven. So you have to change this. If you notice on 98, what you have as your primary key on 98 is not course ID. You have course, not course ID. Can you see that? Yeah. So, but
Okay.
you cannot change it from there. You can't change it. So you have to come down. Come down.
Right.
Come down to. So where you have, yeah, there instead of course ID, can you just put course?
Yeah, here. Yeah.
Or
Add course
at the
ID.
end? No, 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 no. Leave that one like that. Come down. Yes, on 107. Yes, there. Where you have course ID, just have course there. Perfect. Run that. Let's see. Affected duplicate warning. Perfect. Now that should work. Yeah, I think it's okay right now.
Thank you.
Yes. Stop sharing. Okay, let's continue. Oh, Dr. Tony, I was about to explain something while we were explaining, right? Remember,
Yes.
Thank you.
I was showing you my small table where I had my square like this, and I had multiple tables up here like this. So here I had my student ID, and down here I still had my student ID, right? Here I have my course ID, and here I still have my course ID, right? Course ID.
Yes.
So the idea is that here course ID is a primary key. Here student ID is the primary key. But here it is a foreign key. You understand? It's a foreign key. That's the same thing we did here. So what you are doing is that you're saying, I created this column here and it's a primary key with data. So what I'm doing is that here in this other table, which is a fact table, I'm going to pull the student ID, the course ID column, and I populate it here. That's the same thing we were doing. What I'm saying here is that I created my course ID column in my course table, which has data there. But then I'm adding that course ID column in my students column, and I'm populating that data with the data from my course ID in. That's why I specify the table where I'm putting in that from the course table. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I understand this. And I'm just trying to say, like this, with this example now that you gave, if I understand you correctly. So now, the course ID is in the course table, is a primary key in the course table. Then we have
Yes.
also added it to the students table, but now as a foreign key. So as a foreign key, yeah. So now we are not telling SQL that this table, this student table, that the course ID there is a foreign key and it should reference it to the
Exactly.
to this other
To the
table, yeah,
course
to the
table.
table.
Exactly. And it's a connection. That way we can filter. So that way, if you select a student, you can now be able to connect the course that student is doing. Right?
Yeah. Then, Prof, I think where I got confused because I know you may correct me as well. I know that can you think we are building this table, we are building this table right from from scratch. Just like now we are doing alter, like we are doing alter table. But how did we are just doing create table student, blah 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 blah, and we don't need to do add again. We just do foreign key, course ID, reference, course. This last line, we will not need to use the add.
You just have to
again.
reference it, yes. Yeah, you just need to reference it. Okay. Let's continue. So what we just do now is let's quickly look at some very important commands. We've been looking at quite a good number of them. We've looked at select, which we said in our last class that select is used for we looked at a lot of commands the other time, right? And I was even writing them over here. SQL command, we looked at create. Create was to use to create tables and databases. We looked at drop. We looked at the drop command. And then we say alter is used to make changes to your tables. We looked at different, which one again did we look at? Alter plus drop column. We see this one was to, then we looked at data type. So let's continue with the commands, and then we look at more commands down here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add a column here. And I don't know if we'll be able to do this before adding data, or that's why I was wondering whether we should just add data to this thing to be able to have mm, to be able to have some data so that we can actually look at all the commands, because it will be difficult now for me to use the where and all those other ones. So you know what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just synthesize some data and run it, okay? I'm going to synthesize some data and run it, and then I'll share with you the synthetic data, and then I'll run it, and then we'll use that to build up, right? That's going to help us to be able to look at some of the commands. So what I can do is let me just quickly this up, think of something.
Prof, are you still there? Am I still on the call?
Trying to synthesize do some synthetic data. Let's add to the table so that we can be able to explore all the columns, because there are some commands that will not be able to explore them if we don't have some data, right? Maybe at the level of filtering, and you understand what I'm saying.
Okay, but
So
just remind you, sir, it's 9 or unless you want us to take some additional time,
Can you people sacrifice 30 minutes for me? That will not be too bad, right?
You said
Can
30 minutes? Yeah.
Yes. Is that okay?
I mean, I don't have an issue. I don't know for others. Me, I don't have an issue. I don't know for other students.
Some data to these. And what I'm looking at is, let me look at the more appropriate way to do it is that. So here I had the student. See what I can add. Student ID, the student's name. Let me just come back to my student ID, which is a primary key, the student's name, which is a variable character, and then the student's age, which is that, and then the course ID. So yep, so I can just run these, and I'm going to share this with you. So what I can do is that, so let me put a command here saying adding some data to the students table. Let's just add some data. This will just help me show the other commands. Okay. So what I can do is that we're going to use the command that says, insert into student. Now, the order here is very important, okay? The order is very important. So we're going to follow the same order that we had as we created as we're going to put the data. So if I come to my student, so I have my student ID. So the first thing I have is my student. Yeah. Student ID. Student ID. And then the next thing I had was the name. Yes. The name. Why is this saying student is incomplete? Existing select. Why are you saying? I'm still running this thing now. Why are you rejecting it, Rabo? We have the name. We have the name, and then what was the next thing again? We had the age, I think so. And then we had the student, the course ID, right? Course ID. sorry, course ID. I think this was it all, and then we're gonna hit enter, and then we're gonna close this, and then I'm gonna pass a semicolon here. Why is this thing showing me that it's not correct? Insert into student. I'm using the insert command here. Why is it rejecting this? It says statement is incomplete, expecting select set table value with. Whoa, lo. Okay. Sorry. I'm supposed to put this at the end now, bro. What's wrong with you? Maybe I write all of these in one line for the sake of other data, right? So that it's going to be easier. So let me not confuse it. So I have to have this, put all of these in one line so that I will now put the values on them. So I'm going to close this here, and I'm going to pass values. I want to pass values. I'm going to just hit. Enter. Why is you asking me this? I've already said I want values. Well, anyways, let me just run it and see. So maybe we just connect. Let me just collect this from an existing sheet that I have here and share with you all in the chat so you can follow. So please just copy this and copy this from the chat, okay? I just added some data. So what I'm saying is here is that let me run this and then explain that. Code can, yes. Oh, damn, but in heaven. Yeah, because we're supposed to add this to the student around them, but can I do that? I might want to just fill the course ID column. Yeah, because I want to fill the course column because I can't do this if I don't fill the course column. Let me synthesize the data for the course column so that I don't get that funny error. And then we run it from there. Please pick this other one because when I finish, I'll just run it. Let me just synthesize some data there. And then use that for so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from here. So I'm just gonna come down. Let me just insert here. Let me insert into the course table before I insert. So insert into, you see how we are adding data. Insert into course. So the first thing we had in the course was course ID. Course ID. Course ID. Course ID. Comma, we had the course name. Course name. And that was it. And we are adding values. And then I'm just going to hit enter, and then I'm going to copy these values from here and share with you. And then we can all add them together, okay? This one should work, and if this one works, so this one has worked. Let me share this with you. And then when we go up, we can have that other one work too as well. Where's the
Prof, did the student synthesizing of data, did it work? The table?
No, it did not work because we were pulling the course ID information from the course table when we had not put data in the course table. So it did not work. You understand?
Yes, yes.
That's why I had to come down and create the course table first before I can come up and run this. You see, it has now worked. And so if I come down and I said select star from student, and I run this, you see, this is our student ID. This is our student table. Do we all have this?
No, not yet.
Let everyone get up to this point and then we'll leave it here today. And then on Thursday, we just finish up with this. Then, because we still have to look at the where we still have to see how to manipulate data, how to now come in and filter data based on different needs, different things. We have to come and look at them. And
Please
we could not have
scroll up.
done that if we did not. Pardon?
Yeah, please scroll up. Let me see the course. Let me type the code.
I shared the values in the chat because
Can you share all of it, sir? Prof, can you share all for the two, like from, you know?
All the code.
Yes, please. Like for each table that we created with the each values, yeah. Yes.
That should be for this, but make sure you run this one before that one, and otherwise it will fail. You have to create a course because we were referencing the course ID along from course column. If you run that without it, it's going to fail. I've shared all.
Yes, thank you.
So the next thing that we have to look at is how to come in and query data from the table. So let me put that here so that we don't make how to query data, because now you have to know how to query data. This was just creating. So now how do we fetch? How to fetch data from the database. So we still have how to update. We'll see how to add data using the insert to update a particular value, how to update a particular value in the database. And these are some of the things we'll be looking at next class. So how do you come and now say, I want to see the students who are doing biology, right? I want to see the students who have an age of greater than 20 years old. How do I know, what can I see all the information about Bob Williams, right? So these are the kind of things that we're going to look at next class. Because basically as a data scientist, this is what you're going to be doing. You access a database and you look for information. For example, they can give you a database and say, we want you to train our model with data from 2000, the year 2000 up to the year 2020. So you have to say, okay, I want data from here to here, or you go into the database and filter out exactly what you're looking for. So this is what we're going to be doing going forward tomorrow, and that's Thursday, sorry. Please, when you're coming in, please add some more time, okay? So let's just keep 3 hours. 3 hours. That's not bad now. So that at least we can do more. If we finish early, that'll be fine. For Thursday, yes. Is that okay? So let's anticipate to end around 9:30. So that we can finish up with this thing. We just need to now go in and see how to play and manipulate data, and that should be all. Then we'll then do the project after that. Okay, I'm going to stop here today, and I'm going to see you all on Thursday, 7 p.m. Please don't be late.